Passage 3. Now, this was a relatively difficult read, and even the questions based on it were slightly tricky. So, this would probably be fourth in the position of my order of attempting RC passages, and I would probably be selective in the questions in this one, right? So, let's have a look at the questions. Question 10. The author ascribes the following contributions by Levi Strauss to anthropology, except. So, which is the contribution that he did not make? A. Strauss was able to decipher, through structural principles, the fact that complex kinship relations in primitive tribes followed no certain rules. If your retention is good, and you've read this RC passage well, then right at this stage you would mark A as the answer. This is a relatively easy question because it is very clearly given in the RC passage that these tribes did follow unspoken rules. The kinship relationships in these tribes followed unspoken rules. See, the ostensibly primitive but profoundly complex kinship systems, Wilkin declares, functioned according to unspoken rules. That means there were rules. These rules were unspoken, they were unconsciously observed, right? But they existed, and that is why A is wrong. Okay, outrightly false as per the passage. So I found this question to be an easy one because I remembered this bit that I had read. Now, by giving it, he did this, so we can't even deny this. We've just seen it in our previous question. C. Strauss successfully explained the methodology of kinship relations through complex diagrams. This also happened. This has been clearly mentioned towards the end of the passage, right? That some of these diagrams were dauntingly complex. D. He successfully blurred the distinction between literary and speculative fields and those of mathematically inclined fields of study. This is also given in our RC passage. Let's see how he blurred the distinction. See this. So I read this for another question for you, that what he wanted to do was he wanted to bring methodological rigor to anthropology. Okay, so Blaise Pascal had given a distinction between two types of fields, esprit de finesse and esprit de geometry. Esprit de finesse, the spirit of kindness. Esprit de geometry, the spirit of geometry. So basically mathematical fields and human sciences, social sciences fields. So these two ideas, they separated on one hand literary and speculative intellectuals, including theologians and most philosophers, and on the other hand the mathematically inclined intellectuals, right? So there was a distinction earlier. Now, so by Levi Strauss's day, because this distinction existed, if you were able to show that human phenomena, they could be explained through mathematics, then what would you do? You would probably reduce this distinction between these social sciences and these rigorous mathematical sciences. So that is what he did. Okay, he deciphered these relationships using these elaborate diagrams. Okay, and he even gave an equation for this. So he tried to bring mathematics into the field, and therefore he was able to blur this distinction of anthropology being called a literary and speculative field. And that is why D is not our answer. Rather, A is our answer, and it's very easy, okay, to understand.